Hi and welcome. Today we're going to be making this adorable Christmas stocking. It was super easy. We're going to be making our own pattern. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and leave a comment. Alright, to make the pattern, I am just using 2 large pieces of paper. Here I have a stocking that was given to me years ago. I don't really love it. It's a little bit too big, but I'm going to use this as my base to just kind of figure things out. So I'm opening everything up, just laying it down, and I'm going to then trace over it and redesign it. Now that I have put in the basic shape, I'm now going to change it, and I decided to go with a more elf look shoe, so I'm going to give it a little bit of a point and then some extra little curves to make it a little bit more adorable. Now, of course, when you're done, you want to cut out your pattern pieces. So here I just need to finish cutting off a little bit of my stocking. You will also need a pattern piece for where you're going to hang your stocking. So you could be making this out of fabric. You could be doing it with a ribbon. It's kind of just up to you. I'm deciding to use fabric, so I cut myself a little piece of pattern, and then you'll need a pattern piece for the top as well, where I'll be putting kind of a fluffy mink fabric. Make sure that you're folding the fabric in half so you are cutting 2 pieces of each side, and they should be mirror images of each other. You're going to need an outer piece and a lining piece. For the lining, I'm just using a very lightweight cotton, and it's just a solid color, so it makes it easier for me to know that it is the lining. Here I have this white minky fabric, so this is a little bit of extra that I had from a tree skirt project that I did that I'll show in another video. So here I'm using my pattern piece to cut out, giving myself a little bit of an extra edge, about 1/4 inch, and I fold it in half so it's one long piece and I only need one seam. I'm also doing a lining piece as well because I didn't want to waste my lovely minky fabric, and so I didn't want to double it up. If you're okay with that, then you can just double it up and make it longer. So here are all my pieces for the top, for the holding section, and then I've got 2, 3, 4 pieces, 2 of the nice fabric and 2 of the lining. Now let's get to sewing. I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to sew it down as close as I can get to the end, maybe 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 inch, and then I'm going to flip it inside out to create a tube. Then with each of the stockings, I'm going to make sure to do right sides facing together, so bad sides on the outside, and do a nice little stitch around the edge. I'm just doing 1/4 inch. Okay, now we're going to be sewing our top part, so right sides together again, and I'm going to sew it long ways, and then I'll open it up and fold the right sides together, and then I will connect it together to make this longer circular pattern. So I went ahead and folded it, and because my inside was a stiff cotton, it actually kind of curled the edges, and it made it smaller than I wanted, but it did create a really nice edge, so I was happy with that. So I'll just trim up the edges and we'll be ready to put it together. Okay, now to put the stocking together, we're going to make sure all the raw edges are at the top. So do the stocking the correct way with the raw edges on the inside. The little cuff at the top with the raw edges at the top, and the little string also fold it down, raw edges at the top. As long as you make sure all the raw edges are at the top, you're going to do great. So I'm going to pin it in place so it doesn't move, and I'm going to make sure it's all along that seam. Now take your lining, and the lining is still going to be with the raw edges on the outside, so you can see that seam as I'm putting it in, and you're just going to stuff the whole thing and line up all the edges. Now that everything is lined up, you're going to very carefully sew along the edge. And once that is done, everything is sewed and connected, you're going to open up part of your lining seam. Now you could have done this before where you just left a gap, that's fine too. I just preferred to open it, and then you're going to pull everything right side out. So pull it all out and work on it, and then we will sew back up the lining. Now that it's all been pulled out nicely here, we just need to fix the gap that we created. So I'm just going to fold it back down, and I'm just going to top stitch it because this is going inside and no one's going to see it. If you're a perfectionist, then you can do a blind stitch instead to make it, well, look perfect. Once you finish that, you are just going to take the lining and stuff it inside. And there you have it. There's our stocking with the cute little edge. I really prefer that I did this lining. It makes it a little bit stiffer and really shows that elf point. All your raw edges are inside. You don't see any of them. It just looks really nice and neat. And this was super simple. Both the lining and the main fabric cost me less than $5 because it was on sale, and so I was able to make 3 stockings for all of my kids for Christmas. I did a couple of slightly different designs just playing around with it. I hope this inspires you this holiday season and that you can make your own. Please leave a comment below if you do.